Hey everybody, what's happening? Larry Roberts here. I wanted to ask you a quick question before we got started with the episode of the podcast today. I'm wondering, do you like to travel? So many people love to travel, and I hear it all the time that they would travel more if it was just more affordable. Well, I think I found an answer to that problem, and I would love to tell you all about it. So if you would, head over to the website, readilyrandom.com/travel. Click on the collage of beautiful places that you can go, and sign up for our next webinar. We'll tell you all about it on the webinar. There's no fees to watch the webinar or anything like that. Check it out. If you love to travel, it's worth your time. I guarantee it. Thanks, everybody. Hey, what's happening, everybody? I'm Larry Roberts, and this is another episode of the Readily Random Podcast.
Hey, you could be larger than life, bigger than the world.
Today I've got a guest, and I know I say this about all my guests, and I mean it about each and every one of the guests that take time out of their personal lives and their personal schedules to join me on the Readily Random Podcast. But today I've got somebody in the house that has accomplished and even just participated in something that very few people on the entire planet ever get to participate in, much less come out as a champion. And I'm talking about a Super Bowl. Today I have Setema Gali in the house with me, and he played on the New England Patriots. I got England out that time, Setema. And he, I believe it was Super Bowl 36, if my homework served me right, where he was a defensive lineman. He was an undrafted free agent out of Brigham Young and was picked up by the Patriots and went in there and rocked the house and came out with the Super Bowl ring. Setema, thank you for joining me.
Larry, great to be here. Great to be with your tribe of followers and people that follow you. And thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. You know, that's something that's kind of new that I'm hearing. It seems like tribe is the newest, I don't want to call it a buzzword, but it's the newest concept in an audience.
Yeah, Seth Godin wrote a book called Tribe. It's several years ago. And I look at this tribe concept, like I love it. Like you got a tribe, I got a tribe, and our tribes come together and we collaborate. And yeah, it's a great word. You know, I mean, you could use the word like group or team, but man, tribe's just a great word. So it is great to be with you guys today. Thank you so much for having me.
You know, I dig the tribe because it's kind of primal. It's kind of, it's got a little testosterone to it. You know, it's got a good feel. Everybody's on a team, you know, or hey, come join my Facebook group. And I'm not mocking the groups. I have one, so please join. I'm just using it as an example. But tribe, I mean, that says power to me. I don't know why, but it does.
That is, man. It's powerful, man. Again, just Larry, thanks for having me here. I look forward to having this an awesome conversation today, bringing value to the tribe of Larry Roberts around the world.
At least locally, at least in Dallas. I mean, let's not push it. So, Setema, you've got a really awesome story, and the story takes us all the way to the pinnacle of sports, down to the depths of despair, and then back again. So, if you wouldn't mind, give us kind of an overview of what your story was, and how you managed to get back to where you're at today.
You got it. I'm gonna go back to the beginning and then just jump in and ask me any questions you have along the way. So, like I've always been a goal type of person. Like I've always set goals back as far as I can remember. I've had goals about everything, and I've written my goals in the journal. So I've been a journal writer, someone who's kept notes, goals from straight A's to serving a mission for my church, getting an athletic scholarship. I wanted to play at Brigham Young University. And so I go to BYU, Brigham Young University. I get the scholarship. I go to my freshman year. I go take 2 years off and go to a third world country, learn a foreign language. And I go teach the gospel. I come back. I go 4 years at Brigham Young. I become a captain. I'm an all-conference, a preseason All-American, a SAC leader for the conference. And then here's where it gets interesting. I have 5 shoulder surgeries in time at BYU.
Wow.
So I hit adversity early on. And I mean, every offseason, I'm rehabbing shoulders. I can't really work out till about June or July, and then I'm right back at it. And that's one of the biggest things I learned, first of all, was like, if you got goals, if you got targets, if you have this thing you want to do, you got to be ready for adversity. Like you're going to face tests of life. Life will test you. Life will try you, right? Whether you call it the universe or God, like you're going to be tested in every way if you want to go to the top of the mountain. So when I came out of my senior year at BYU, I had my fifth surgery, and it was big. Like it was a full, like I got this huge scar on my right shoulder. It was the biggest, longest surgery. And I remember just having my agent. My agent is the same agent as Tom Brady. So
Okay.
these guys come to BYU and they're like, hey, we're looking for players, but also who have great character. And they're like, you are the one at BYU that you are one of the guys on the list that we want. So I signed with them, and I just remember they said, look, you just got to be ready. Like, we'll get you your workouts, and if you can play, whether you make it, it's up to you. I was like, great, done deal. So I stay ready. I work out, and the Patriots picked me up. The 49ers wanted to sign me. I listened. Like, I had this voice inside of me that's like, you need to go to New England. Look, being from Utah, I wanted to go to the 49ers. I was like, I'm going to the 49ers. West Coast, Montana, Jerry Rice, Steve Young. It's like a 90-minute flight. It's easy. And the voice inside of me was like, no, you need to go to New England. And I've learned to listen to this voice from this. So I go to New England, and look, we just kept winning and winning and winning and winning. Like, it didn't stop. We didn't stop winning. And here's another part of the story. I was in the NFL. I was making lots of zeros in the bank account, right? You get to there from college. When one moment I'm eating Fruit Loops and ramen noodles in college, the next moment it's like we're eating steak every night and lobster and shrimp and fish. And I was miserable. Like, I wasn't happy. I was homesick. I was like, oh, this is so hard. And it was hard. Like, I'm tell you right now, the NFL, they say it stands not for long. It's a hard job. Like, it's tough. Mentally, physically, it's a full-time job. You're there at 7:30 in the morning. You're there till about 5. It's a full work day. And then you travel, and then, it's physical, it's mental. You're wondering if you're going to have your job. You're trying to make it. I mean, it's challenging. So we were there for the Super Bowl. It was amazing. Great time. I learned to love it. Great guys. I mean, that whole team back in New England was amazing. So number one, I've learned, right, you're going to face adversity. And if you're in adversity right now, look, you got to learn how to dig into it, lean into it, embrace it. Because on the other side of adversity, the other side of pain is the prize or the promise that you want. The second thing is, even if you are achieving and accomplishing your goals, doesn't mean it's going to be easy. I'll tell you guys in the NFL right now, if they're losing a lot, their bags are packed. They can't wait. Like, it's a job still, and it's monotonous. So you would think, oh my gosh, they're living the dream. It's like any job. Like, it becomes mundane and boring and arduous and laborious.
But in all fairness, and I don't mean to interrupt, but you say it's a job, which it definitely is. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But to say it's just like old Joe that rides on the back of the trash truck, that's a job. But he's not making all the zeros that you talked about. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is, and I wouldn't mind expanding on it just a little bit, is the mental that's behind it. Is you're honestly, and look at this. I was a very low level pro fighter. Even we'll still call it amateur, but I got paid, so we'll call it pro. I'll ride that wave.
Yeah, I like it. Ride it, baby. Ride it.
So they don't take into account when you hear the game is the reward, the fight is the reward. The training and the mental training and the taking care of your body, the shoulder surgeries in the off season, all of that's, in my opinion, and I've never been to the NFL, so you can correct me, that is what you're getting paid for.
Yeah. You're exactly right. I was eating 6, 7, 8,000. I mean, I was pounding 3 protein shakes with bananas and a scoop of ice cream a day, in addition to 3 full meals, in addition to snacks, just to put weight on.
Right.
And it's like, they say that champions are not made in the ring. They're revealed in the ring. So yeah, what you're really getting paid for is the hours upon hours of practice and film and study. And it sounds crazy, but look, this is why people who think, man, if I just made more money, if I had that dream job, look, once you get into whatever you do, it's like anything else. It's a job.
Yes.
And this is why collegiate sports is so fun to watch, because they're so passionate, because it's school, and they're trying to get to the next. And when I got to the NFL, it's just guys like me, right? Guys like you, like they're dudes with young guys in their early to mid 20s or late 20s, making a lot of money, but they're still facing the same things that we face, cleaners and so those who had kids at school and doctor's appointments. I mean, but it's a job. And I bring that up because sometimes we think there's just this better job out there. There's just there's greener grass. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you have not learned how to love and appreciate where you are, you'll get to that greener grass, that NFL job, that job for you. That's like it. And you might be disappointed. Like I knew no matter what, it was going to be a grind. Like once I got up there, I had heard from other NFL guys, like it's a grind. But like after the draft picks, after all the accolades and all the Escalades and the Benzes, and it's a grind. So whoever can grind, whoever's willing to just grind, like do the work and have a mindset of a champion, they're going to win. I'm up in New England. We win the Super Bowl. I'm bawling my eyes out. All the dudes are bawling. I mean, grown men, like we're hugging and we're just looking, I love you, man. I love you too, man. Like I got to say this. Ain't nothing like winning the Super Bowl, man. It is up there. It is because you work so hard. Like you work your whole life, high school, college, late nights, surgeries, injuries. Like your whole life is built for this if you're an athlete. And look, if you're not in sports, a lot of people have this thing, like this Super Bowl championship, right? Their Super Bowl, whatever that is. And I think a lot of people don't have those goals. In fact, I know most people don't have specific, measurable things that they're like, man, I want this. And I just love when Jim Rohn, one of my favorites, he's passed away, but he says, it's not so much of setting the goal or getting the goal that it makes the thing, right? He says something to the effect of, it's the person you become in the process. And I became a very powerful person, very skilled athletically. So fast forward, I finish up in 2001 is my rookie year. 2003, I wrap up. I come home in the spring. I'm out there in the spring, and I just knew I'm done. Like I couldn't even walk. I couldn't stand up. I didn't want to keep getting shots in my back, and I didn't want to have surgery. So I come home. I jump into the mortgage industry, and for about 8 months, I was kind of a bum. I was like eating ice cream, watching movies, and I didn't know what to do with my life. Right, school and football are done.
Yeah, exactly. What's next? Right.
And this is a transition period for a lot of people. It's like when you've been in a job for like 10, 20 years and all of a sudden you got to go do something else. It can be scary. I was in my 20s and I was like, what do I do? And one of my buddies, he showed me his paycheck. It was like 30 grand. And I was like, oh, did you make that last year? He's like, dude, I made that last week. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I just came out of the NFL and I'm like, okay, what's this thing? He says, mortgage. I'm like, what the heck's a mortgage? That's how bad it was.
Yeah. And
I jumped into the mortgage industry, and all of the rest from like May to December 2003, I was just broke, man. All the money I'd made quickly gone. It's like one of those statistics that are like, I made money, but I didn't know how to really save it and hold on to it. I just spent it like I was going to keep making it.
Right.
And, a lot of people say, well, these NFL guys are making so much money. It doesn't like, if you have not mastered the skill of discipline, of saving, of living on way less than you earn, doesn't like whether you're an NFL guy, a mortgage guy, you hit the lotto, you're going to be broke quickly. And I found myself financially broke.
It's funny you say that because a lot of lotto winners end up even committing suicide and they're broke within 2 years or a very short amount of time, because I think it's true that the more you make, the more you spend. You go, oh, I can afford this now. Oh, I can charge this now. Before I could charge, 10 grand. Now I can charge 100 grand. And you have you don't even really, I don't believe, have the concept of what you're spending anymore, because you've reached this next echelon of prosperity. We'll use the prosperity word. It's probably not prosperity. I only say that because I'm talking to the Reverend of Prosperity, right? It's just, it's temporary wealth. I think is probably the best call for that type of scenario where you just suddenly you're inundated with everything. And maybe you could squash this, is it a misconception or confirm it, that as an NFL player, you get a lot of free stuff. You do get a lot of free stuff, but you're really not like now based upon my business. Now I look at all the rookies and a lot of, unless you're like the top tier guys, you don't make as much money as you think. Because having been out of the NFL now for 15 years, having run a business now, the business that I run where I coach and speak entrepreneurs, and I'm working with people who make anywhere from $250,000 to $100 million. And the range in there, like that's the group of people that I've been around. And listen, what's the nicest way to say this is more money is just not the answer. And look, that might cut the grain, right? People are like, I just want to make more money. And like, there's a time and a place where you want to make the money without a doubt. But I'll say this, when I was in the NFL, like guys
guys were not disciplined. I was not disciplined. Now, on that New England team, I will tell you, there are disciplined dudes. If there was a group, because I actually went to the Chargers before I went to New England, and guys remember the vets telling me, "Hey, don't go blow your money, man. Like save." And guys were still rolling with Escalades, rookies.
Right.
And I'll say right now, like rookies they just don't make that much money. Even if they get a bonus, it's gone. It's gone fast, right? All your cousins and aunts and moms, and you go buy, and before you know it, this nest egg that you think you're going to have, like as your income rises, so does your spending. So that was me. And I learned, and I was like, man, I don't ever want to do that again. So I come home, I'm out of the NFL. And in January of 2004, I made a decision. I just said, I know that I'm not meant to be broke and poor. That's not my life. God, you've given me too much. And I set a goal that year to go make six figures in the mortgage industry. I didn't know what I was doing. I knew nothing about marketing, nothing about, all I knew was football. That was my life. And I set a goal, and I basically said, I'm going to take the same principles that I applied in football that got me to the top, and I will apply them in the mortgage industry. Everyone in the company was like, whatever, dude. Like, you were like the last in this company, in this brokerage. And I crushed it that year. I killed it. And then I doubled down in 2005. I doubled again in 2006. And then I doubled again in 2007. And I found immense wealth. And we more than doubled every year.
Wow.
I got married 2005 to my best friend. And then, so we moved into this 6,000 square foot home in Provo, Utah, along the bench, down in Provo. In 2006, December 2006, like we just, like money's coming out. It's just like endless. Mortgage, real estate, hard money developments. Like I like put my money to work. And I remember it was a cloudy day. It was cold. It was wintertime. I've got this beautiful home, 3 brand new cars, Range Rovers, Escalades, Mercedes-Benz. And we're living the life, and we're traveling first class. And Amex is like, dude, you are one of our best. We love you. Because I'm spending a lot of money and paying it off every month. I was unhappy. And I wasn't unhappy because I was just unhappy because I knew that there was more for my life's purpose than that. And not that doing mortgages there's people that's their thing. That's not mine. That wasn't mine. And I knew it. And I knew that, like, people are like, well, what do you want to do? And I didn't know how to make a living of it. I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to be a speaker. I wanted to be an author. I wanted to get paid to touch and impact lives. I didn't know how to do it. So 2007, right, the tail end of that, we crush it again. And then the crash comes in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And I was ill prepared for it. When you're an entrepreneur, when you're got this champion mindset, sometimes it's like, dude, we can overcome this. We can totally. I would make mistakes, but you'd go just, if I'd make a 6-figure mistake, I'd go make that up the next month, or in 2 months, I could cover it up because the market was so good.
Right.
We were riding. And I'll say this so everyone knows, I wasn't that special. I was just a hard worker, and I took advantage of the wave and the trend of opportunity. So when we crashed, like, here came the repo guy. I was like, I started to get a little shell shocked. You ever see those like videos on Instagram where there's an animal who's still alive and the lion is just eating it, and the animal's still alive? Well, yeah. It's called shock. Like, that was me. Like, the market was eating me alive. I was losing. We were hemorrhaging money. And I gave the Mercedes back. It was a $200,000 car. I had put $100,000. I mean, it was crazy. Money and cars and cash. And so we start losing the cars. We start selling everything. And Thanksgiving 2008, my family comes down to Provo. They pack us up, and we move into my buddy's place, who's like, I got 4 months on this house before it forecloses, so come stay in this house. I'm like, great, I'll go start a new business. So we move into that home. No cars, nothing. Like, wow. I borrow a buddy's, like a good friend of mine he says I'd saved his life because he was contemplating suicide. I called him up. I said, hey, what are you doing right now? I was like, I need to talk to you. And he's like, man, I was about to take my life. And so he got back. He gives me his Audi. I drive his Audi for 6 months. We're in this home up in Highland, Utah. And then we move out of that one into another big home. And I'm trying to build a business. By 2009, we were like hurting. We had sold everything in our home. And the last thing was like, there was no money. We were just flat broke. So you go from a company who's doing multiple 7 figures to, and the truth was I got exposed. The marketplace exposed me as a man who didn't really have the skills that I thought. So I look at my Super Bowl ring and I'm like, okay, like, if I go sell this thing, I'll go get it back. I just need some cash to help me start a business. And I get on the plane to New York. I cry the whole way to the airport, man. I was devastated. I'm like, how did I get here? Sometimes if you're listening to this podcast, you might be like, how did I get here in this place? How did I get to this point where, and I'm taking my Super Bowl ring and I'm flying to New York City. Like I'm sobbing on the airplane. Like I'm crying like a baby. And they're like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. And my snot running down my nose. I'm blowing my nose. I get off the plane. This collector checks it. He verifies it. He gives me, the bill of sale. He gives me a yellow envelope filled with cash. It was like a drug deal or something. He gives him the cash, and I give him the ring. I say, I'm gonna come get that back. He's like, everyone says that. He goes, and I think he has over 100 rings between NFL, NBA, hockey, Major League. I was like, well, I'm gonna come get my ring. So I leave, and nothing happens. Like I cannot figure this thing out. 2010, we move into this 900 square foot townhome. Now we've like pretty much gone from all these properties across the country that got foreclosed, our investment properties, developments in Florida, businesses, to a 900 square foot townhome in Pleasant Grove, Utah. I am depressed. I am overweight. I'm like kind of angry. Right. I'm like, what the hell? What? God, where are you? What's going on? I was praying. I was going to my places of worship every week, and I was fasting. I was doing all the things, just like I need some help. And I stood in front of a bankruptcy attorney in May of 2010, filed the bankruptcy, cleared all the debt out, and I'm still broke. And by 2011, at this point, I knew in my heart, like I know I'm supposed to do something with like something big, and this is all part of the story. Going through this depression and losing my Super Bowl ring and my wife's wedding ring. And we sold pretty much everything that had a ring, and anything that had value, we sold it.
Wow.
2011, 4 years out of total prosperity. I mean, like we went from anything we wanted, we had, to like living in a townhome that's 900 square feet. And I was recruited to go knock doors. I'm 35 now. I'm being recruited by these 20-year-olds to go knock doors as a door-to-door salesman. And I'm afraid, man. I'm like, what if I can't do this? And everyone's, dude, Setema's going to come knock. They didn't really recognize that I was broke and almost kind of broken, man. Like my confidence was so rattled and shaken. I was so afraid now, because I had 4 solid years of just abundance and prosperity. And then I had 4 years of I couldn't figure it out. Like just nothing. Like we were barely making it. Like my in-laws bought us a car. That's how bad it was.
Wow.
Once my buddy took the Audi back, my in-laws bought us like a used car. We were on government assistance for a year in 2009. I was just like, dude, what am I doing with my life? And in 2011, I got on a plane. I flew to South Carolina. I had like this is $0 in my bank account, and I just remember being so focused. Like, okay, this is it. Like, this is Setema's last stand. I have to make this work.
Right. It's
door to door. It's like knocking cold doors and selling a security system, a smart home system. And I was like, I'm on a mission. So I'm a big Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. So I grew up watching Arnold, and he's got a movie that's kind of a classic called Terminator.
Of course.
I was like Terminator. Like I was on a mission. There was no one more committed than I was. I was just at this point of like, I am tired of being broke. I'm tired of not succeeding. I am tired of yelling at my wife and my kids for pouring too much milk in the cereal because we're going to waste the milk, and that's money. And I was just tired of living this life. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I felt humiliated because I had experienced this college degree, got the Super Bowl ring that I've now sold. I was like very successful in the mortgage industry. We had cars and homes and travel, and people were just kind of like making fun of us. Like, that's what you get. That's kind of what you get for spending all the money and living this lifestyle. Sure. And I just was like, man. So I got up to South Carolina and I went to work, and nobody outworked me that summer. And the question the recruiter asked me, he's like, hey, how much would you have to make to come out and knock? And because I did not want to knock. He tried to recruit me in 2008, 2009. And so by the time it's like he's recruiting me like 3 years into this thing, I was like, dude, in 4 months for me to come do this job 6 days a week, I would need to make at least 6 figures. And he's like, done. You can do that. I was like, what?
Oh, wow.
I was like, and so I was taking notes. We're at the sushi place. I'm writing all my notes down on the brown paper on the table. I take and he's like, and he was good, man. This guy was a great recruiter. So I go to his house. He was in his 20s at the time, late 20s. He pushed over his 1099. And, when you see a 7 figures on a 1099 from a guy in his late 20s, I was like, what the heck's this guy doing?
Yeah, right.
I take my wife to his house and is in, just 7-figure brand new cars. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, what is this guy doing? And he recruited my wife. He recruited me multiple touches. I went to knock. And my wife, our plan was we would pack up our little townhome and put it in storage. She was going to drive across the country. And, man, excuse me. I was going to go knock, and I was going to go get it. And I did. And I got out there in April 2011. I had $0 in the bank account. We were so freaking broke. And I was just determined. I was like, this is it, man. Like, I'm not going home until I sell. And I mastered this thing. I stayed up. I literally, you want to talk about a guy who's hungry, who's just so hungry. It was me.
Yeah.
I woke up at 6 a.m. I would study. I would study till 8. While I was studying, while I was making breakfast, I was listening to the trainings. My walls were covered. I took notes. We were driving the area. I never stopped studying. My life was on the line.
Sure.
Like I killed it that summer. Like I remember just drinking Red Bull every day, eating potato chips every day. And I would knock, Monday through Friday, right? From 2:00 till dark 30, we would knock, and I became infamous for being in homes at like 11 at night, 11:30 at night, like just getting that last cell, and the technicians are showing up at 11 at night, and they're like, "You can put it in tomorrow," and sales. I was like, "No, it's got to go in tonight," and I found every way to push deals in. And I remember in July of that year, that summer I was like reborn, man. Like I learned how to hustle. I remember my wife calling me. I was on the doors and she called me. I'm like, what's up, baby? And she's crying. She's like, I just want to say thank you for doing this hard job. It feels so good to go to the store and not have to worry about what I have to, I don't have to budget. I don't have to go. We can just buy whatever we want. Man, we were killing it, man.
Wow.
And so I come home and I think as soon as the summer was done, it was like I knocked an extra 3 weeks into September. I came home and I slept for like 2 weeks straight. Like I literally slept. Because that's a grind. Like that job, when you gotta condense 12 months into 4.5 months of work and you gotta make that money, like I was just grinding. So I did that for 3 summers. I recruited a team, and again, same thing. Right? I doubled what I did my first year, and then I doubled again in my 3rd year. I had a big team, and I'm finding success. And then after this 3rd summer, I thought, well, we made all this money. We might as well go for 5 years. Okay, God, this is what I'll do. I'll just be a recruiter and a manager of this great industry. I'm almost 40 now. And the voice, I call it the voice, man. The voice was like, it's time. It's time, Setema. It's time. And I was like, damn, like that, huh? Like I kind of mastered this thing. Like we're cranking dollars. I got residual and all kinds of stuff from this great $2 billion company. And I listened. I went to my wife and I said, hey, I'm going to go back. So in 2009, I tried to be a coach, right? Well, I'm broke. I'm trying to go be a coach and a speaker. And we failed miserably. In 2013, I go to my wife. I look at her and I say, hey, baby, I'm not going to do Vivint anymore. I'm not going to knock anymore. She's like, well, what are you going to do? Like, she was loving it, right? We are like
Sure.
we were thriving. And if anyone out there has ever considered knocking doors and you want to know what you're made of and you need money, you go knock. I'm just telling you right now, you want to see if you can do it. If you can knock and hustle and sell and recruit, you'll make 6 and 7 figures. Yeah, you just kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like kill it. So
Right.
I told my wife this, and she dropped to her knees and she started to cry. She's like, please don't do this. Don't leave this company, baby. She's like, we tried to do this before. You failed. I'm like, I grabbed her by the hands. I'm like, I got this. And I knew it. Like, because when the voice speaks to me, right? Everyone calls it something different.
Sure.
But when the boys spoke to me, man, it was clear. It was like, you need to leave now. You need to go. So I go and hire 3 coaches in like 3 months. In October, I hired a coach. December, I hired a coach. And then in January 2014, I hired a coach. And I spent just shy of 6 figures on coaches. So we had padded our bank account from the knocking days. And I hired these 3 coaches. It was hard. Like, I'm trying to transition into this world of coaching and speaking. And there's just, no matter how much certainty I had, it was hard. I didn't make any money for like 7 months. My wife, and all it took was for, our wives know us. And for those of you men out there who know, my wife said it was May of 2014, and knocking season's in April. My wife looked at me. She said, well, I guess we're going to go back and knock doors for a living, since you wanted to spend all the money on these coaches and nothing's working. So I can't wait to go knock again.
It's funny because I do that too with the coaches. People don't realize that you don't just become a speaker or even just a podcast host or a best-selling author, anything along those lines. You got to have a coach. And every time I turn around and go, hey, honey, yeah, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to need this coach. And, well, it's X per month. What do you think? She's like, oh, my God, seriously. She just rolls her eyes. She gets all mad. So, yeah, I can relate 100%.
Yeah. Well, dude, I love that, because it's the same thing with my wife. Now, when I say, hey, I need to talk with you about something, she goes, how much is it going to cost?
Boom.
I'm like, it's this much. And she's like, okay, well, like, if you think we need to do it, go do it. She's like, dinner's ready. I'm like, okay. And like, it's fast now. So I hire these 3 coaches, and my coaching takes off. And at the time, I'm driving a little Scion XB box car ride, this lava orange limited edition. It was my door-to-door car ride. I'm this big 6'4", 290-pound guy driving a Scion box car.
Right on.
And you should have seen, we would pack. There would be 6 of us in this car. We'd throw 1 in the very back, 3 in the back seat, and then 2 in front. And we'd be traveling an hour to go knock doors. It was just sweaty dudes in a car. Sometimes we'd have girls in there, ladies with us. It was October 2014, so my coaching takes off. I start to coach, I start to speak, I start to get paid. Companies hire me. And I remember I set this enormous goal. I'm like, you know what? It's time to go get a Mercedes again. Like, I'm a Benz guy. I'm an S-Class guy. So I set this enormous goal, like kind of impossible, knowing like, I don't even know if I'll hit this, but if I hit the goal, I'm going to go buy the car.
Yeah.
And I crushed the goal in October of 2014. Like, by middle of the month, like, all the money just starts rolling in. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go do this. So go get a car. And then in January of 2015, so I traded my Scion, we upgraded that to a Benz, a used Benz. And again, like, we're starting to have prosperity again, abundance. And then January 2015, I feel that voice, like it was time to move, but to Southern California. And I was working with the guy, we were coaching together. And he's like, move down here. So I moved down here in April of 2015 to SoCal. And look, along the whole way, right, about my story, there's just so many lessons. And there's so many gifts and distinctions for people that you got to be willing to pay this price if you really want what you say you want. Like, like people, like you, I love what you said, like, people think you just become a speaker overnight, or you run this multiple 7-figure company overnight. No, like, we only see that stuff in, like the game days. Like, we only see this. What you don't see are the years and the years of toil and strife and sweat and blood and tears and sacrifice and just deep commitment. And we moved to Southern California. I'm doing business great. And then like 8 months later, this guy that I'm doing business with, he's like, hey, it's time to split. And again, I was like, whoa. Like, it was like, 5-6 times more expensive to live where we live versus Utah. Again, another point of, are you committed or not? And so we split, and it was great. We went our ways, and it was good. And I stayed in California.
Wow. And
that was 3.5 years ago. And we have been so blessed, and I've overcome I know what it's like to be depressed. I know what it's like to not make money for 4 years. I know what it's like to say, which do we pay the cell phones or do we pay the electricity? Well, for sure, we don't need to pay the landlord yet. I know what that's like. And I also know what it's like to write checks, to invest in yourself and your business, and to take leaps of faith. So that's where we are today. I'm happily married. My wife has been by my side, my best friend, my lover, mother of my 3 boys. I coach youth flag football. I serve in my community and my church. I love speaking and teaching and making a difference and helping people realize, like, if you got a dream, like, don't wait for someday, because someday is going to come, and someday is really never, because like someday never comes. Like, you got to make the decision today. So that's kind of the overview of the story, right? The rise, the fall, the rise, the fall, the bankruptcy, the Super Bowl ring gone, knocking doors for 3 summers in Iowa, Texas, Georgia, California, like just traveling the country in 2 summers, like 100,000 miles on my Scion boxcar. Like, we put the miles on that sucker.
Wow.
That's it. That's kind of how we did it, man. And here we are in Southern California, loving life. And that's my story, man.
Man, that is an amazing story. And I thought I did my homework. I didn't even come close to doing my homework to know what I was getting into when I heard your story. I'm sure it speaks to everyone that listens on a variety of different levels, because everybody has their trials and their tribulations, but not everybody has the fortitude to come out the other side. I don't know. I know your wife supported you, and you may have had others out there supporting you through your trials and your tribulations. But I know for me personally, the trials that I've gone through, I almost checked out 5 years ago because I became a crazy alcoholic. I mean, I just straight into the depths of pure, unadulterated alcoholism. And I made a call one day that said, dude, if you don't help me, I'm not going to see tomorrow. And because of that support system, because of my best friend, my wife, I'm here today and I'm sober. It's been 5 years now. It's freaking great. And it's not something I ever thought I would go through, just like I'm sure you never thought you would go back to a 900 square foot townhouse. So there's some correlation there. And I'm sure, I'm telling this again. Folks have heard my side of the story, but I'm saying it again because there may be listeners out there that go, okay, well, this is Setema Gali. He's a football player, and he did all, just like you were saying earlier, he spent all his money, he did this, he did that. But I'm just average Joe. I'm just average Lair, I've been there on a variety of different fronts and managed to come out the other side. So if there's anybody listening that feels like they can't relate because you are on such a higher echelon, I mean, you were in the Super Bowl when you won it. I mean, that's, come on now. What is there? 1,000 people that have done that in the history? I mean, I don't know.
Barely.
Yeah, I haven't even done the math, but it's not very many. No matter where you're at in your life, and no matter what you're going through, you can overcome, and you can't even take it to the next level because now you've taken it to the next level. And I know we're winding down. We're really over time, and I don't want to keep you any more than you had planned for our discussion, but I want to give you an opportunity to speak to your pro rev that's coming up here in Dallas and expand a little bit on that. And then, man, we'll wrap things up and I'll let you go.
Thank you, Larry. Yeah, no problem. So again, this voice I talk about, right? And the desires of my heart. I believe the voice will only speak to you, to the true desires of your heart. Like, I have no desire to go, like, I really don't. I'll say this. I have no desire to go have a yacht. That's not my, like, I have buddies who have yachts and jets. That's not my thing. My thing is I want to be with the people. I want to see marriages thrive and flourish. I want to see young kids and teenagers like get their confidence and certainty in their power. So we do our first Pro Rev Live in April this year. And people are like, what's Pro Rev Live? So we run these immersion events. It's a very expensive 4-day immersion event, 6 a.m. And it's like transformational, like just life-changing. And you can see that at manwealth.com or shieldmaidenlive.com. But I was like, how do we reach more people? How do we give people the message? So we decided to do a conference style. And we threw a Pro Rev Live in April. And in Pro Rev Live, it stands for the Prosperity Revolution, and it's live. I share with people everything that I did to be where I'm at today. The blueprints, how to structure your day, how to set goals, marketing, selling, recruiting, power, marriage. I share with people what I call my 13 principles. 13 principles, insights, and distinctions for living powerfully and creating results that matter. Like this, if there was an event to go to, like this would be it. Like you come for 3 days and you leave a different person. I'm not a rah dude. Like I've been to events where it's like just a lot of screaming. That's great. There's nothing against that. I am a transformational master. Like I help people to see things they cannot see. I help them to see why they're afraid, why, like we get to the root of the problem. And it's like being the why guy. And after 3 days, your marriage, like, look, we've had people that came to the one in April and people were on the verge of divorce. They're so happily married and in love. We've had people make an extra 7 figures on top of their business in 12 weeks. People losing weight, people just seeing life from a different lens that creates happiness and fulfillment. Like for me, as you can tell, like I'm not like a hardcore just hustle and grind till you die. I'm like, hey, let's go live the life that you want to live. And like I have a definition for prosperity. It's 3 things, right? Number 1, you live the life that you want, that you really want. Number 2, you impact and make a difference for people. And number 3, you never have to worry about money again. And people are like, what? That's what prosperity is for us in this movement we call the revolution. And so that's coming out October 25th through 27th in Dallas. If you are listening to this, like I invite you with all my heart, like come be in the room with us. And like, if you're not happy, like, again, my strategist would say, you got to tell people if you're not happy by the end of day 1, you'll give them a full refund. But I just know everyone that shows up, if you knew what was going to happen in the room, it's coming from a guy who's gone through depression, who's gone through selling everything, losing everything and it wasn't just like I was broke for 3 months. We were broke for 4 years. and I mean, we were like broke, like ramen noodles. I was just like, dude, this is, and I'm so grateful. I will say this, Larry, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for those trials, man. Like it forged me like steel that gets forged in the fire. This fire of affliction, this burning heat, or like this pressure that creates diamonds. And I can really relate to people, married couples, business owners, entrepreneurs. So it's going to be an amazing event. And, for those of you who listen to this, like I'll create a discount code for the people in here.
Let's do it.
I'll give it to you.
Awesome.
And then you just make it available. There's going to be a discount code and a link. That way we can get you more than 50% off the ticket. Because I want you in the room, man. I want you to come be with us. I want you to experience this prosperity in your marriage, with your children, with your life, with your faith, and to live a life where you're happy, where you're not trying to keep up with the Joneses. You're not comparing yourself to everyone. You're just like so freaking happy where every day you wake up and you're like, this is amazing. This is awesome. And that's what the prosperity revolution is about, man.
Well, I feel a revolution has already touched me because I'm fired up. Just hearing your story and then hearing about the prosperity revolution, it's got me fired up. I'm going to come out of the studio and I'm going to start talking to the wife. She's going to be like, Larry, just calm down. Just relax. Just relax. So, Setema, phenomenal story. Honestly, I appreciate you sharing it. I appreciate you opening yourself up and actually getting a little raw with us there. That is something that is difficult for men, especially manly men and football players, to do. But once you realize that you can do that and it's really from a position of strength and not weakness, I think it makes you even stronger because you're suddenly at a different level, a different mentality. And I want to tell folks that when you said just a minute ago that you're not the hustle and rah-rah kind of guy, and I can attest to that because I've had you in my ear for most of the afternoon today, and I really dig your podcast. I went to YouTube and just play all and was listening to everything and listening to your story and listening to your take on life. And you're very consistent in your message. And this is not something that you're doing just for a show or just for pushing Pro Rev live, nothing like that. You're very genuine. And thank you once again for being so upfront, so honest, and sharing your phenomenal story.
Larry, thank you so much, man. That means the world to me. I'm so honored to be on the podcast with you. Thank you so much. I want to create just maximum value for your people. So we'll create this link. So for those who are listening to this, you'll get a discount and I would love to have you there. And Larry, if there's anything else I can do for you, for your family, your tribe, just ask. I love to make a difference for people. And Larry, again, I'm honored to be here and I can't wait to share this with my tribe and to share this with my people. And I'm directing to your podcast, man. It's going to be awesome.
So awesome. I really appreciate it. Hold on and we will talk some more and we'll get into that whole what else you can do for me thing. I'm just kidding, not really. but hang on, man, for real, all right? Hey, everybody, thanks once again for listening to another awesome episode of the Readily Random Podcast. Hey, guys, as always, if you're wanting to start your own podcast, please be sure and check out my book, #1 best-selling book on Amazon in 4 different categories. 1 + 1 = podcast. I help you simplify the equation of podcasting success. So thank you once again, and we'll see you next week.
You could be